down Virginia, seeking shelter from the storm. Caught up in the fable, I watched the tower grow. 5-year plans and new deals wrapped in golden chains. And I still wonder, who'll stop the rain? This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, taking a toll across the swath of Minnesota.
Yeah, you talk about who's going to stop the rain. I mean, how about who's going to stop the
snow,
negative, negative temperatures out there?
That might be more apropos this time of year. Yes.
Who's going to stop the rain? I might have this one.
Yeah.
No, I'm at 9.5 after my quarter one last week.
I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Let me think.
Okay. All right, you think about that.
You bring up what you want to bring up first, and I'm going to think about that.
Oh, this is special. You're gonna think about that.
What do you got there? Uno? You playing Uno?
No, this is not Uno. This is not a commercial. But have you ever played this game? Would you rather?
No.
Here.
I haven't done anything different for the last 30 years.
No, this is fun.
You want me to pick something?
Pick, but give it to me.
Oh,
all right.
Okay. I can pick any card?
Yeah, go ahead. Pick any card,
right.
Yeah. This will be fun. You'll like this.
I will, huh?
Yeah, this is a fun game. All right.
Is this something like spin the bottle, or is this...
No.
Okay.
So I'll pick one on here. Would you rather be the world's tallest person or the world's shortest person?
Tallest.
Yeah, why is that?
Because short people get discriminated against.
Yeah? Tall people don't, huh?
No, I think tall people will be millionaires playing basketball, and the short person will be sitting in the corner at the prom.
Look at Muggsy Bogues.
Well,
Come on.
he's a 1 in a million, but
well, that's true.
World's shortest person, you said.
Yeah.
Not world's shortest basketball.
Well, that's true.
Do you want me to pick another?
Pick another one.
Pick another.
This is good. We're just getting heated up here. All right.
Is this one not proper for the radio or what?
Oh, I'm just looking. Oh. Each card has 4 questions.
Oh, okay. You got an evil smile now. This must be...
Would you rather be incredibly attractive physically, but exude an extremely bothersome odor, or be hideously unattractive, but have a scent that is irresistible?
I'd rather look better.
Yeah?
I can put on deodorant, but I'd rather look better.
Okay.
One more?
We got a couple more here.
Okay, we got a couple more here.
Yeah.
You're learning a lot about me today. By the way,
yes.
It just came to me.
Yes.
Fogarty, CCR.
Yes. We'll stop the rain.
10.5.
Hey.
2019's been a record year.
You're doing good.
Oh,
I don't know.
Man.
I don't know if you can do gooder in 2020.
I don't think so. I think I've set the bar high.
You did set. How could you, if you don't muddle through like a Minnesota sports team? How are you ever going to make it to the playoffs every year and disappoint?
No kidding. How do you go 9-7 and lose in the first round?
All right, so we're gonna for this one. Okay, here we go. Would you rather? This is a political one, actually. Would you rather a city limit soda size or outlaw plastic bags?
Limit soda size.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, because I don't like outlawing.
Yeah.
I'd rather limit than outlaw.
Okay.
Now, first off, I'm for neither.
Right.
Okay. But
right.
There was a gun to my head. That's what I'd pick.
Quick. Let's do a couple more of these.
Right.
This is fun. We're learning a lot today.
Maybe you are. I hope the audience
this is good. This is good.
Are these real questions here? Or are you making
yes.
this up?
No, I'm not making this up. Would you rather live on a bus line or near a light rail station?
Oh, gee. I would say a light rail station because everything's walkable.
Yeah.
Bus line, that's where people hang around and
even with all the crime and stuff at the light rail stations.
I would still take the light rail because that's newer.
Yeah.
And there's the half a mile. There's everything I want in a half a mile.
Well, you're just feeding into why they do this. It's
asked me what
your
I'd
fault
rather.
they're building
What
light
I'd
rail.
rather is what
it is
you
your
asked me.
fault they're building light rail.
Well, I'm blamed for a
my
lot of
word.
things. You're young. You'll hear it more.
Unbelievable. Okay.
So you'd pick bus?
Yeah, it's a little more dispersed. I don't have to be centralized.
Truthfully speaking, when I
Yeah.
lived in Crystal, I was 2 blocks from a bus
Yeah.
pickup. And, of course, 63rd and the ghost town there where there were 5 cars a day and 63rd and 81 there. So maybe you're right.
Yeah, I think I am.
Plus, how do you have a house? Forget it.
No, go ahead. Ask your question while you're picking.
How do you have a house right there anyway? I'd be living in mixed use or something, and I wouldn't want that.
Wouldn't want that. My word.
Every answer I give you just make fun of here. Is that what this is? Is this marriage counseling?
No.
What is this?
No, these questions are good. These are good ones. This is kind of a strange one to have in here. It's kind of specific. Would you rather be the mayor of St. Louis Park or the deputy secretary of state?
The deputy secretary of state, because I keep that job as long as I want.
The answer is it doesn't matter. You can do them both, apparently.
Yeah. I love how that question was in this game.
Yeah. That's
amazing.
Odd. You pick another one there. That's weird.
It's just amazing.
It's like
how,
they listen to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I know our audience
It's like they listen
exceeds
to
the U.S. birth rate here, but
ooh, this is a good one. Would you rather do nothing but drive in Minneapolis or bike in Big Lake?
oh boy. Well, I'd rather be in Big Lake, so I'll say I'll bike in Big Lake.
All right.
Even if it's negative 10, I'd rather bike there than do anything in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, that's a tough one. I don't know. Sorry, Bike Lake. Bike Lake. That's what we're going to call it pretty soon. The way they're going down there.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's do one more, and then we're going to call it quits. We'll move on. But This is
interesting how this game is so timely.
Yeah.
They could bring out a new one next year?
They might. An updated edition, maybe. Okay, we go. Ooh, let's do this one. Would you rather pay taxes in New Hope or sit next to New Hope council member John Elder at Golden Corral on prime rib night?
I would rather pay New Hope taxes. Doesn't do anything but smell his colon. This could be a whole show.
That was an odd question to have in there.
I mean, it's amazing how they do about New Hope taxes. And again, another fan of the show. I hope we're getting royalties. Are we getting royalties from these?
We might. We're going to have to. I think we'll have to set that aside. We may have to play that game again. That's interesting.
Golden Corral. It could have been a cattle company or something.
That's true, too. The Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Yeah, it could have been. Would you rather support Knocker or Bong Wang? I can't get enough of that show. By the way,
yeah. Do you still listen to that?
I listen to it every day. It's just amazing. Our downloads are way up because I keep listening to it. Anyway, Jay, let me just move on real quick. St. Cloud is a city I've spent a lot of time in my life. Mm-hmm. It's changed quite a bit up there, but spent many nights at the red carpet or at the dugout drinking a hairy buffalo. Did you hear St. Cloud State is dropping its football team?
No.
To comply with Title IX, they are forced to drop their football team.
What do you mean?
As of next year, because the male athletes have too many more opportunities than female athletes.
So they're getting rid of football, like the best sport.
But they're adding
ever.
Soccer. And they're also getting rid of golf. By the way, they just built a stadium. That stadium's only about 10 years old.
Did you say they're getting rid of golf or adding golf?
They're getting rid of golf. They're getting rid of football.
Both men and women and people who pretend to be either or? Oh, they're keeping women's golf.
I don't know that. It doesn't say.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so
we are going nuts, America.
To comply with that, it's amazing how, with all the money these people charge to go to school.
Let's drop football. Why not drop Tiddlywinks or something that nobody watches?
The thing is, I don't understand is the revenue side of it.
Football is a huge revenue.
Hockey's probably number one there. But
yes, hockey would be number one.
I would imagine football's number two.
I mean, they're not as good as Bulldogs, but they're good.
Or the Gophers. But yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I know you Duluth people got your pride. Are you a Duluth West or Duluth East?
I was up the hill. It was different. I wasn't.
I remember East as the better team when I was growing up.
Yeah. We always called them the cake eaters. Yeah.
Can't satisfy.
They had more money. West is definitely more the working class, blue collar people.
Oh, I didn't know
East
that.
is more, your white collar, more money. Not 100%. That's the way it was split. But generally.
So generally speaking,
the Glen Sheen Mansion is out on the east side of town, and and
on the lake.
Yeah. Exactly, but a lot of your bigger houses were out there, but now you're finding a lot of your bigger houses are out in the townships up in Hermantown because people can build out there.
Yeah, and they want to get out of the city.
Absolutely.
They don't want to live down there. Yeah, of course I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, so Duluth, funny thing, is a town I love to go to, actually. Yeah. I really do. I really like the town. Wouldn't live there.
Yeah.
But I love going there. It sounds silly, but it's true. I love Chicago. I think Chicago's a great place to visit. Wouldn't live there for free, but maybe on the west side, 30 miles out. Yeah, but kind of like Minneapolis. I would never live there, but don't mind living 15 miles west.
Right. Yeah. No, but I was a Proctor kid, so I was on the border, pretty much of Proctor and Duluth. Lived on a little bit of land, and the racetrack, the Proctor Speedway, wasn't very far away. So
So St. Cloud to drop football. I'm just
wow.
Since 1895, they have had football. They are dropping. They only have, but their stadium, that Husky Stadium, I want to say is only about 12 years old or so.
Wow,
or something like that. It's pretty new, and seats about 5,000 or 6,000 or something. They're not high up in the football,
right?
But just a sad day to see that. Just showing our college system is so screwed up. So these people have no idea what they're doing, and just it's just sad to see people who dreamed of playing. We'll watch all these kids go to different schools now. They're going to lose. If you've got 2-3 years of eligibility. Now, if you're a senior, you might stay and just go get your degree. But if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you're gone. You're at a different school next year. You're gone to whoever will take you. Somebody will.
Yeah.
If you could ball, somebody will take you.
I suppose.
And some of these kids may never play again. And so
that's sad. You don't go to St. Cloud to turn pro. You get a scholarship or whatever. It's easier to get a scholarship to that level school, and that helps you with your academics. And
some of these people will never play again. It's just sad.
Yeah.
So, but all created by Title IX and by this fictitious idea that it's somehow sexist to have too many men's sports versus women's sports. Not about supply and demand, not about what people want to watch, or maybe the women don't want to play a sport. Maybe they'd rather do
50-50 men and women at St. Cloud State?
I think they have to make it that way. I think you have to make. If I understand Title IX right, and again, somebody in the peanut gallery here can email us if I'm wrong. You have to offer either equal scholarships or equal amount of teams or equal amount. There's something that has to be the same in Title IX.
So what are you doing?
Of course, football, where there's 80 guys on the team, and they've cut other men's sports up there too to keep football. I should say that in the last 10 years or so. I don't think they have a baseball team anymore either.
Are you serious?
I don't think so.
So they're getting rid of every good sport and they're adding soccer.
Well, probably a diverse student body is something that they're pushing.
Is figure skating coming next?
Could be. Curling. Maybe we'll get some Canadians down there, I don't know. St. Cloud State might have baseball. I might have misread that. But
let's say somebody is sophomore, junior, senior. They're getting a football scholarship. Football goes away. I imagine their scholarship goes away and you leave somebody high and dry that then has to either look at transferring schools to play football to get that money that they counted on for college. This is why we say don't depend on the college system, boys and girls, because unless you need it to become a doctor or a lawyer or some sort of big highfalutin profession, where you got to have a college degree or a teacher or whatever, there are things that you can do without going to college and feeding this system. This system needs to be starved, and there needs to be an alternative solution created.
Well, and I would say, too, I think that there are. There's technical colleges, there's community college to cut down on the first 2 years. There's more online opportunities. There's more than there used to be. I mean, when you and I were in college, not that long ago, okay, in the 90s, okay, I mean, there were none of those opportunities outside of community college. You didn't have the blue-collar jobs that have come back, so to speak. Well, they weren't there in the 90s.
That's true.
So I think there are more things, and I also think employers need to budge a little bit on this. I think they need to stop worrying so much about a college degree and start worrying about good, honest, hardworking people that can learn and that have had a diverse background. I think employers share some of the push toward having a 4-year degree. If they would stop doing that and give more people opportunity, I think some things would change too.
But there's so many that don't even need it for what they do. But these companies, they require a 4-year degree just so somebody can prove they can finish something.
I don't know why they do.
I've
do
heard
they even
that.
check?
I've heard
do they even check if you got a degree?
No, but I've heard that they ask that so they can figure out who can finish something.
But that's not fair because somebody could have left college for 100 different reasons.
Yeah, somebody's parent could have passed away, or
they could have gotten sick. They could have gotten a car accident. They could have run out of money to pay. I mean, they could have
absolutely.
Maybe they decided to get married and have a family, and the other person was the breadwinner.
You absolutely have to have the higher learning to get the job. That's one thing. But if you're just doing it to do it, so you can prove you're better than other people, or you go
get that degree and become a waiter. You go ahead and you go do that. You spend your life with your tips paying back that great education for that degree in Native American ghost dancing. Go right ahead. It's just, and maybe it would force colleges to offer more practical degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can major in, basket weaving, just go through the majors of a school sometime in the minors and ask yourself, what the hell do you do with a degree in that? But again, so much of it is about indoctrinating, getting you to think a certain way, getting you to have a certain world point of view, that they've lost the entrepreneurial, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Spirit. The colleges shouldn't be teaching you to get a job. They should be teaching you to go out and I don't know. I feel like there's, achieve everything you can and not settle for something.
Right.
So,
well, what are you going to do with that? That's what they said about my music degree.
Well. Hey, you're playing at the local watering hole. Come on, that's more than most.
Hey, I do all right as a musician. Room to grow, but I do all right. Oh,
what else you got here? What else you got? You got more,
looking at
you got more
article.
You got
from
more
the
Uno
Hill.
to play, or do you got?
No, this is an article from the Hill.
Okay.
Mayor of Iowa town chosen by blind drawing after tie election. Well, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Really? I'd like to see the city charter there that shows what to do in the event of a tie.
It's like, hey, we had a tie, and I don't know whether we put in...
They could at least have an eating contest or something fun.
Well, maybe that's it.
Well, anything's got to be better than drawing a name out of a hat. How boring is that? They need to do like an NBA lottery program or something.
This is the problem, though. People see being a mayor or being on a city council as some rinky-dink thing where you can just leave it to drawing a name out of a hat. I'm sorry, but nowadays elections are important, and not just at the national and state levels, but at the local level. And if we're not taking our local levels seriously, we've got a huge problem, and that is why we're getting the things that we're getting. That is why, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, climate change is being filtered down to the local level. That is why Tobacco 21 is taking a hold. That is why Green Steps Minnesota is taking a hold. That is why that city staff can push around people who sit on city councils because they don't have the knowledge to be able to push back. And it's because of things like this where you're picking somebody out of a hat.
And I'll tell you how many people run to city council because of one issue or want to serve on something, and here they're being pushed with like the issues you talked about. I'd add ranked choice voting, I'd add franchise fees, I'd add complete streets. You could add a million things to that cities are being, I would argue, pushed to do. It's all voluntary, but we know what that means when it comes to government. That means do it or else. So you've got people, you're right, they're not equipped, I think. But that's where we come in, Jay.
Yeah.
Because nobody is unequipped with Community Solutions Minnesota. That's question
true.
About it.
That's true. We are here to help.
Speaking of help.
Yes.
We need help. The whole state needs help.
Yes.
If the world's going to end in 2030, let me just ask a stupid question.
Okay.
Why does it matter what our greenhouse gas emissions are in 2050?
Well, it's a good question.
I just have to, preface that. And of course, no one asks anybody who believes that questions like that.
Yeah. Well, if we were really going to be done as a civilization in, 8 years, 10 years, don't you think these people who are purporting this would be living differently?
You mean like the Obamas buying a home in a place below sea level?
Right.
Yeah. By the way, where did Barack Obama get $15 million?
Books, I guess.
What books?
I don't know. What is it called? The
Audacity of Hope? Is that what he wrote?
Audacity of My Father? Is that what it's called?
Is that what it is? I don't know. The Father Dowling Mysteries? I don't know what he wrote. Where did he get? I just want to know where he got $15 million. Your presidential salary is what?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Trump doesn't take it. Yeah. Maybe something like that, but that over 8 years that doesn't add up to $15 million.
No.
So, what is with these presidents cashing in, and all of a sudden they're gazillionaires? Bill Clinton. You know what Bill Clinton's salary was? The governor of Arkansas.
I would guess as a governor.
I'm estimating, but
okay.
Keep in mind, this is in the 80s.
Right. I would guess about 65,000.
30,000.
30,000. Yeah. Wow.
So he becomes president, gets paid 200 G's or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he's worth gazillions today.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
It's called the Clinton Fund.
Well, what does he give himself a $25 million salary? Or how do they cash in and get all this money?
Pay to play.
I guess so. It's just kind of to sit there and listen to talk about how the wealthy are the world's worst people and blah blah blah, and then to sit there on their mansions, on Martha's Vineyard or something.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how nobody challenges what they say. It's sick.
Yes,
it's just sick.
I agree.
And don't give it to charity either. Why don't you give it to government? Why don't you put your money where your mouth is, and you give it to charity so you can write it off on your taxes. With the guy on Amazon, why don't you give your employees a raise? No, he won't do that. He gives his money to Amazon, to charity, gets a bunch of cheers in the press, and writes it all off on his taxes.
These guys, a lot of them though, they give 5%. 12% or whatever. They don't give a lot.
Well, they give enough.
They
give enough to get that marginal rate down to a certain amount of money, I'm sure.
Yes, sometimes it's more than like charity. It's political stuff, and foundations.
You have a foundation. You make your wife the chair of it. She gets a $15 million salary, and that's how you turn it all around.
So, right.
Yeah, or your kid. I mean, it's just a total scam. Anyway.
Yes.
Here in Minnesota, I mean, the reason we bring this up, Governor Walz just signed an executive order. Something I don't care for very much.
Right.
Executive orders have their place, but not for something like this.
No.
This requires, of course, legislation. To recommit Minnesota to tackling the horrible, the awful, the catastrophic issue of global climate change. I forgot. We're not warming, so we can't call it global warming anymore. And because we are not meeting our goals, Jay, of reducing greenhouse gases.
Well,
so we have to recommit.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to the well, do the same thing we did back in 2007, come up with some plan to do, you know what'll be in this. We all know what will be in this. And it will cover every facet of your life. And your local government will be one of the ones forced or pushed or encouraged, or however you want to put it, to carry this out.
Now, I have a question right off the bat.
Well, as always, I have an answer.
That's good. State Pollution Control Agency created Green Step Cities, Minnesota.
Correct.
So is that program not working if we need to come up with something else?
I don't know if it's not working, but keep in mind, 120 cities out of 854 are part of it.
Right.
So maybe they don't have enough people, under their nose, so to speak, to do that.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I just find that interesting, that's all. It's like, yeah, this isn't having the effect we want it to have, so let's come up with another program. We're not going to get rid of the old one either, but...
No, the old one is going to be used as a template for the new one.
Yeah.
Back in 2007, Governor Pawlenty and a divided legislature, actually the legislature never passed this, I don't think, did this 2007 Energy Commitment Act or something like that to reduce our greenhouse gases.
Governor Green Jeans.
Yeah. By the year 2050. 80%. 80%. Now, you and I both know that that's absurd.
Yeah.
That would never happen without, major total changes in people's lives. Now, by the way, when you talk about greenhouse gases, we are not just talking about CO2.
No.
But of course, CO2, if we didn't have that, the whole world would collapse. But CO2, we are talking about nitrous oxide, sulfur hexafluoride, hydrofluoride carbons, pure fluorocarbons, pure flower carbons. I don't know what you...
Fluoro?
I don't know what you call it.
Chlorofluorocarbons?
Yeah, and methane.
Really? Oh, my word. Who are you, Swalwell?
Sorry, I just...
You found an app just for that. You've been waiting to do that like all day too.
I don't know what an app is. Okay, this is YouTube.
Oh, my word. Okay. My word. Oh.
I love the look on your face when the first one went. It was a little early. Sometimes you can't control these things.
Wow.
So methane. We cut down methane use as well. But like I said, we have not made the progress. We were supposed to be down 15% by 2015, 25% by 2025. We will not hit either goal.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, there's. So you can call it good news, bad news, whatever you want to say. Here's a little update on what they're doing. The MPCA, the Minnesota Department of... By the way, we should back up a second. So the governor is going to create a task force to tackle this. The Pollution Control Agency head will be the head of it.
Yeah.
And it's got the usual heads of department. The same old crap. I mean, there's nothing... What are these people going to come up with that's new?
Nothing.
They're going to come up with ways to force this to happen. I mean, that's
what
thing.
The new things that they'll create will be the regulations, the framework, whether it's building new development or the way that we drive or the food we eat, anything we do. I mean, there are, quote, end quote, environmental impacts that they need to be able to be involved in the way that we live. There are, maybe there aren't. I don't know. They make them up. I don't know if that's true or not. By the way, yes.
Do you know Minnesota is part of the Under 2 Coalition? I don't recall legislation being passed to join. This is a global, again, states entering into treaties. Again, they don't have the constitutional authority to do this. That is committed to keeping global temperature increases to under 2 degrees Celsius. So we got a little wiggle room there with Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And once again, you see a lot of the same. I should mention here in the United States, Minnesota is one of, I can't really see from this map, about 7 or 8 states that are a part of this. Of course, California, Washington, Oregon, Virginia, New York, Vermont, looks like Massachusetts, the Connecticut. There's some Canadian provinces. Looks like there's states, I want to say, in like Brazil. Mm-hmm. And if you go over to Europe, you see lots of... I don't know if they're countries or they're states or what in Germany, Spain, France, a couple African countries that I'm sure are getting free stuff. And then there's cities that are also part of this as well.
Wow.
So if you look on this map here, the green is one thing, the blue is something, the dots are cities.
Minnesota is as blue as...
Yep, blue can be. So I just want to know, where was that debate there? I don't recall that.
I don't either.
City of Austin, City of Boulder, surprise, surprise. Hawaii is a part of it. Los Angeles, Minnesota, Montgomery County, Maryland, New Hampshire, which is kind of a surprise being... They're such an independent state. Orlando, Pittsburgh, Portland, Oregon, that is, Sacramento, Seattle. So once again, we have the anomaly of state and local government committing to an international treaty.
Right.
We don't call it a treaty, but what treaty's not voluntary? So I don't understand what can you explain the difference, Jay, and what's a treaty and what's not?
No, I mean,
if I enter into an agreement, like I never understood like NAFTA. Why didn't that have to be ratified by the Senate by a 2/3 vote? Well, it never was.
Right.
They didn't have the votes to do it. Somehow
we're still in it.
Well, they got it through Congress with majority votes.
Right.
So I don't get that, but well. I mean, the big thing here that I want you and I to focus on is the local impact of this.
Yes.
Because so many little things are a part of this. So many little things will be affected by this. So many little taxes and things like that and requirements will be filtered through things like this. I mean, we talk about building permits, your vehicles, the taxes you pay, the transportation, things your tax dollars are subsidizing. We all know that things like this will lead to more of that. And what are the consequences of that?
Yeah.
I mean, what are the consequences of requiring buildings to be...
Well, buildings are going to be more expensive.
More expensive, and where does that cost go?
It goes, if it's a store, it goes to the consumers.
If it's in a townhouse complex, it goes to the people who live there.
Or the taxpayers, because there was a TIF agreement.
But still, even if there's a TIF agreement, the people are still paying property taxes and rent and all that.
Right.
So the same people who complain about affordable housing are the same people making houses less affordable.
Yes.
So we'll see that. We'll see more of the war on cars. I mean, they specifically are, and I don't know if I give them credit or if I give them, I scratch my head. I don't know what I do, but how much they go after cars in this.
Yeah.
eqb.state.mn.us. This is their, whatever you want to call it, economic policies or something that were pushed in the last one. Mm-hmm. Okay, long-term strategies to start now. And guess what they are? I mean, take a guess. Urban development.
Okay.
Think about what this would push. You don't have to look. Trust me, you don't have to. What would that entail?
Mixed use development.
Okay, that's underneath something, but yeah.
Yeah.
Compact development is how they put it.
Compact development, yep. Where you have walkability, you have bikeability, transit.
That's also separate, transit and multimodal travel, but yeah. Of course, the kind of cars you drive are a problem, aren't they? You got too much freedom going on around here. Yeah. Can't have that much freedom.
No,
we have to have electric vehicles. Now, let me tell you something about. Let me give you department heads in Minnesota who've spent your whole life cashing government paychecks. Let me give you a little lesson on capitalism. You know why electric vehicle sales are not doing well and never have?
Because the electric vehicles stink.
Okay, that's one.
Minus Tesla.
That's one reason.
Yeah.
What's the other reason? People don't want them.
Wants them. Yeah.
So ultimately, isn't it up to the consumer to do this? I mean, we talked about this with solar energy. You can get 2/3 of your solar energy costs subsidized, and still nobody does it.
It's true.
So what does that tell you? They don't want it.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to force them to do it?
Well, they don't ever go that far.
No, but they can. And let me give you let me give you an example. You want to build some houses on an empty area in a city. Mm-hmm. Regulations can be passed that require renewable energy or something like that to be used, or you can't get a building permit.
Right.
So what stops them from doing that? What you can say it's not a requirement, but it is, because they hold the power to hand out the you can't build, even if you own the land. Okay, it's yours. You paid for it,
and that's property rights.
Yes,
101.
You can't build, you can't sell, you can't expand unless unless the government gives you a permit to do so. So, what stops them from saying? Okay, what stops them in the sale of an older house to say, well, you know what, you can't make a sale until this is updated and this is that, and Well,
there's nothing that stops them. I mean, they do that now. They don't. I mean, that's the whole reason for like point of sale inspections and stuff like that, is to identify some of that stuff. Now they don't get into all the green things now, but they're a lot tougher on renters or landlords rather. Well,
you got the rentor and the rentee.
The rentor, yes. The landlord, they're a lot tougher on those types of properties than they are on single-family homes.
And that's a separate permit, by the way.
Yes.
A renter's license is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And, a lot of these places, they do have regular inspections. And it's like, there's not always a standard, and if you get
the standard changes all the time.
If you get an inspector that all of a sudden has a bee in his bonnet about, you need to replace your windows, you need to replace your weather stripping, you need to,
Well, and again, some of these are good ideas. Look, I'm going to surprise people maybe a little bit. I don't think everything that they're wanting or pushing is the devil.
No,
I
but
think
forcing
we should be,
it is.
Yeah, I think we should be good connoisseurs of our resources. I think there's ways to do it in a marketplace that don't. I mean, people don't want to pollute. They don't want to.
Well, not most people.
Well, I would argue that most people are pretty conscious about that. And
Well, have you ever driven along North Minneapolis?
Well, I don't think people there are conscious of anything, But I mean, I think your average person outside of North Minneapolis. Is.
There are some areas where you see a lot of garbage. It's funny how it tends to be in the areas that would politically affiliate with the people that are supposedly environmentally conscious.
Yeah,
I guess that's my point.
And I just love. I can't remember what airline this is that is making our flying so much better. No. They're not charging you for bags, not making the seats bigger. They're not giving you. They're still going to give you the same dried up, crusty pretzels. They're banning plastic straws. So I don't recall what airline that was, but thank you so much for that. So they're doing their part.
Well, it's a problem, because when they're done with the straws, they just dump them in the ocean as they're flying across.
That's what I hear. I heard it just goes right out the back door with D.B. Cooper. So anyhow, I mean, this is what to look for here. I mean, you're going to look. What are you going to look for locally? You're going to look for the war on cars. You're going to look for bike lanes to be pushed, for complete streets to be pushed, for sidewalks, for regional trails, for trying to get you out of your car and into their transit or their buses or their anything to get you to not drive.
Yep.
You can make it. You can do what Minneapolis is doing and make it unnavigatable.
Yes.
Just impossible to drive. I mean, cities are heading in that direction slowly. At some point, they'll get there.
But they don't just do that. I mean, Minneapolis is unnavigable. From what I understand, Seattle, also in Portland, unnavigable. You also have in a couple of these cities, like I think it's Portland or is it Seattle, did they pass it or are they trying to pass where nobody pays any fares for public transit?
Yes, they've done that in Europe. I know they've done that in Europe.
So they want public transit to be free, and then they also tried to place tolls on certain roads during rush hour to keep people out of certain places. And they don't just do it like in the middle of the freeway. Like they'll put them around where they don't want people to go. So, and in fact, in New York, didn't they pass something in the last year that was like, this is a no-go zone during these times. This is no longer for driving around Central Park.
I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah. So,
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the war on cars is very alive and well.
Hey, that's crazy. That's just nuts.
So it makes Minneapolis seem like you're driving on the open road.
Yeah, maybe we're lucky.
Maybe. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, between the speed bumps and the all the bike lanes, the protected bike lanes, the protected crosswalks, I don't know if they passed it yet. They were looking to bring all of the speed limits down to 25 miles an hour.
Huh.
Yeah.
But doesn't state law say that urban areas it's 30, or is that just
unless it's marked?
Or is that just a maximum anybody can go to? What does lowering the speed limit do?
Saves lives, Andrew.
Right. Whatever. Yeah. All right. All right. Enough about Minneapolis.
Yes.
But the multimodal stuff is going to be big time to be pushed. Now, so again, what does that mean? Now, there can be some state legislation. One thing that was pushed last time, it's been pushed every time, is a gas tax increase. You hear this all the time. Insurance pay as you go, another insuring you by miles driven, not by what kind of car you have or what. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know if the insurance company can track your odometer. I don't know how that works exactly. More what I call toll roads, but they call it min pass, which is basically paying. I guess it's okay to pollute if you pay.
Oh, absolutely.
Here, like Al Gore's carbon credits.
Yes.
Here, we'll give you some money so we can go pollute. I guess the environment's not that important then to do that. But these proposals are going to trickle down to every locality anywhere. Like I said, it's not just buildings. It's going to be government vehicles. You know, I was at a gas station today, and I have never seen, all the times I've been to this Quick Trip, which is my favorite.
Yes.
All the times I've ever been there, I've never seen anybody charging at an electric vehicle station. They have one, never seen a car there. Today I saw, this is no joke, I saw some chick at some toots at there, and I was like, what is she doing? And she was charging the vehicle. And they walked over. There was the ugliest car. It was a very ugly car. And it was very weird shape, like something out of the Jetsons.
Right.
I walk over there, and it says Hennepin County on the side of it. Yeah.
Of course it does.
Even though I was in Anoka. Oh, I guess that is Hennepin County, right?
Anoka?
No,
that's Anoka County.
That's Anoka. What am I saying? Yeah, Anoka County. I was in Ramsey. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Anoka County. So they were maybe Hennepin County didn't have enough stations, so they had to go to Anoka County to charge up or use Anoka County's electricity.
They should.
Yeah.
Just go to the local Hy-Vee.
Yeah, and how about where you get your electricity? You know, that's another thing they talk about in these. Where they talk about getting rid of coal. Completely by the year 2050.
Oh my goodness!
And how many jobs, how many small towns and stuff that could affect? Where a coal plant might be the largest employer.
Yeah, you guys on the Iron Range want to know why you ain't working up there? It's because of guys like Tim Wallace. Yeah, there's no mining.
No, there's not going to be either.
No.
So there's that. There's, and let me ask you an electricity question. I mean, how do we?
I'm no Ben Franklin, but I'll try to answer.
How do we get away from the monopoly control of Xcel Energy? How do we get away from that? Because I always think, when I look around, I think, okay, how could a bunch of companies run power lines but everything?
It won't work like that.
Yeah. How do we do that though? Because they can force, because Xcel Energy is a legal monopoly.
Right.
They can force Xcel Energy to do anything.
Yeah.
And they have to comply.
Right.
So if they say you've got to produce electricity more expensively, and then Xcel Energy says, okay, but then we have to charge customers, but they need the government's permission to do that, they'll get it.
Yeah.
And so they jack up everything. How do we get around that? How is that? How do we get away from this monopoly control of that?
We need an invention that is so good that people, and not subsidized by government, by the way, that people won't be able to deny it. I mean, that's the problem with solar. It's never getting any better because they have no incentive to get better. It's kind of like our universities. Yeah. They stink because they have no incentive to be good. Obviously, I mean, there's some programs, again, doctors, that kind of stuff. But
there are exceptions.
Yes.
But
with energy, I think that there is a way, and I don't know what it is, obviously, or I'd be rolling in the dough right now.
Well,
but whether you're using friction or you're using solar or you're using hydro or nuclear or whatever, to be able to get to get a different source where people can generate it, be off the grid.
Okay, but let me ask a question on that.
Yeah.
Can you do that? If I own a home, okay, am I allowed to opt out of Xcel Energy and put up my own generator somewhere?
Well, I don't know if you can. I suppose. I mean, if you don't pay your bill, they'll disconnect you at some point.
Yeah, I mean, how do you hydro? You live in Crystal. How do you hydro electricity there? I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't think that's the answer. I mean, you'd have to have a hydro plant like on the Mississippi or something like that. Then,
or access your own aquifer, like the one right below your house. Yes. I mean, just saying, but to me, if you open this up to the market at some point will figure it out. Yeah. Somebody will figure out how to do this. Nobody gave Thomas Edison or Nikola Tesla or George Westinghouse a tax credit to go do something. No. So, I mean, at some point, wouldn't the private world figure out, okay, here's how one house can generate electricity doing X. Wouldn't that, because I mean, to me, you are at the mercy of Excel and the government every single day.
Absolutely. If they want to change their rates, they can change their rates.
And what the hell can you do? Right. Same thing with water. I mean, you are at the mercy of them, of the government, every day.
Yep.
We are dependent for the most basic thing. Water that no organism can live without, except maybe snakes in Arizona. Okay, they can eat a cactus, but still, I mean, I don't care if the snakes can die, they can have horrible deaths. It's fine with me.
Wow, let me know how you really feel.
I hate all reptiles.
All of them, even geckos.
Geckos? Isn't that an amphibian? Is that an amphibian, or is that a lizard?
Isn't that a lizard?
Is a lizard considered a reptile?
Yeah.
I just think they're. I don't know. Snakes and alligators. I mean, you like them?
Who likes an alligator? I mean, crocodile hunter, I guess, but.
Oh, they're crazy. Not a reptile. I can't even think of any more reptiles off the top of my head. What's a turtle?
Yeah.
That's a reptile?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a snapper once.
Komodo dragons.
Oh, God.
Yeah? Had a bad run-in with a Komodo dragon, did you?
Yeah, Saturday night's main event. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had one. Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He wrestled Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a reptile match.
Yes.
Pretty. I mean, the dragon had to have rubber bands around its mouth.
Right.
That's like, I mean, things people do for money. Some things I just wouldn't do. So yeah, I mean, where was I going with that? I don't know, but I mean, water, the basic thing everyone needs is completely controlled, completely regulated, and it's scary, isn't it? Scary. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of control if the government ever decided to cut it off for any reason. You are a racist. We're not going to give you water, or
they have cut it off though. I mean, can't water your yard. Can't. I mean,
right.
There are examples where they've done that. Yeah.
They haven't totally cut it off where it's like you're not drinking anything today.
Yeah.
But I could see, if we got to a point. I mean, again, this is maybe not too far off in the future, but it's not immediately happening. Here it is in other places like China, where you're looking at the social credits and all that kind of stuff that they're implementing, and how eventually, it could get to a point here where they can shut things off, or they can, not give you their services because they don't like what you stand for. That's a lot of hypotheticals, obviously, but it's possible. So, I mean, at some point we need to come up with a real-world solution.
The unintended consequences are
we need to come up
numerous
with a solution that is free market, that people can buy or build themselves to harness some sort of electrical power. And stay off the grid. I mean, I think that's the future. I mean, when you look at everything else and you're looking at, like, right now, I think movies and music are in an amazing place. And I know this isn't energy, but it's kind of the same concept where it has gone from owning physical product to downloads to streaming.
Yeah, technology's knocked down the barriers.
Right. And now you've got all these different things where whether it is Netflix or each of the networks,
Hulu,
like HBO
Hulu or
and
something.
Whatever, have their own network. Disney Plus just came out. in energy, I mean,
it's all to get around cable.
Yeah.
It's to get around cable. That's why.
Yep. And with energy, we may have the same thing. Because look at cable. I mean, cable is usually, if not a monopoly, one of like 2, maybe 3 options somewhere. Otherwise, you go with, one company.
Or you get a dish, and there's only 2 companies that do that.
Right. So
Dish and DirecTV.
Yeah. Exactly, and they're not much different. So I think that energy at some point has to have a renaissance like that.
That's an interesting topic all into itself. Yeah. I want to throw something else out here that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agencies are pushing, because it's not just enough to have government do this. And government buy electric vehicles at your dime and push regulations and compact. One thing they also talk about is the higher density, less, and this is critical too, less, one of the things they want to do, before I get into this, is make more space off limits to building. Find some reason to urbanize a green space.
Yes. And
that will force more compact. You're going to look at zoning changes and all the things that we've talked about in the past, but it's going to be sped up. It's going to be really sped up. Mm-hmm. But how about this? I don't know why my flashlight's on. Hang on here. Because that probably uses up energy too. There are ways, Jay, to make your events more green.
Ooh, good.
This is from the Pollution Control
Someone
Agency.
who does a lot of events. I'm interested in this.
Well, I don't know if you like the first one. It's called Grave Matters.
That sounds rather final.
Conventional American funerals, burials, and cremations can be resource intensive and polluting. So, apparently, cemeteries across the U.S. bury 800,000 gallons of embalming fluid, 2,700 tons of copper and bronze. Of course, there's there is a source here. The Funeral Consumers Alliance of Minnesota. Boy, wonder who's funding that. Anyhow, there are ways to make things more green when you die. I know that's what you're going to care about when you're fighting for your own life.
Right.
You just make sure that
don't use too much electricity keeping me alive or
make
nothing.
sure the environment is taken care of.
You get up to 30,000 gigawatts and you pull the plug.
Here are their 3 recommendations to make your funeral more green.
Hardly wait.
This is from the Pollution Control Agency. Okay, this is your tax dollars at work, folks. Forego flowers. Funeral flowers may be grown using pesticides and other chemicals. So you can only get flowers that are bought locally and grown organically.
What?
Make sustainable food choices. If food is part of the event, specify locally sourced items, reduce waste by using reusable dishware and utensils. And here's my favorite. Travel green. Encourage attendees to use public transit or carpool to get to the funeral. So, hey, I'll call up your son or daughter, tell them your wife's passed away, and say, listen, I'd really appreciate it if you called up Aunt Kate and Uncle Bill and rode with them to the funeral so we can reduce greenhouse gases.
It wasn't bad enough that I was a pain in your neck while I was alive. Now that I'm dead, I'm going to be a bigger pain in your neck.
Jay, I'll tell you what. Next time you come over to my house to watch a little football, we are going to have a green get-together.
By that, I would almost rather watch the Green Bay Packers than...
Well, that isn't on here, but number 1.
Yes.
BYOP. Bring your own plate.
Really?
Yes, reusable or compostable plates, cups, silverware, silverware and linens. Ask your guests to contribute dishware. So, Jay, next time you come over to my house, BYOP.
Really?
Ditch the balloons. We will have no balloons there.
I don't think we've ever had balloons.
Well, I think you brought one over one time.
Did I?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Eat local.
It's news to me.
Eat local. Got to do that.
Yeah.
Because the average meat travels 1,500 miles to make it to our dinner tables.
Yeah.
So we have to eat locally. So if they're killing a cow in Golden Valley, I'll go run and get that and bring it over. Pass the ketchup. Buy condiments in bulk so we don't use the little packets that they give you at McDonald's or Burger King. B-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z. If we're outside, we can't use DEET in our bug spray. We just have to let the bugs bite us. Remember that.
These people are creating an unsufferable world.
Okay, I got one more.
Yes.
I got one more.
Insufferable. Yes.
This might be my favorite. Graduating green. So your graduation party, okay? Now, you've got kids who've graduated. Graduate. Now, I want to know if you did any of this, Jay.
Okay.
Host a joint open house. To save money and vehicle miles traveled.
No, we didn't do it for that reason. We had.
So you did do this.
We did, but we had somebody living with us, and so she and my daughter graduated at the same time, and because she was living there, they had to do one.
So you already had a green graduation party.
I wouldn't call that. Where was she going to have one? She was living with us.
I don't know. Invitations. Only on recycled content paper or paper altogether.
Yeah.
Send them electronically.
I wrote mine on a side of beef and sent it over.
Of course, plan your menu. Got to have, what do you want to call it? Local stuff or whatever.
Right. Right.
Get a recycling bin. You got to have something separate for that. Serve beverages in pitchers, not in disposable bottles and cans. Well, how do you get them?
I think all we did was use bottles and cans.
But I mean, how do you get them? I mean, how do you get the soda or the orange juice or the
2 liters?
Yeah, but that's a disposable.
I suppose. Yeah. How do you Soda Stream.
Yeah, you got the gun or what? Yes.
We're all switching over, and you got a CO2 machine coming next week.
Well, they've got some other things, too. Greening your vehicle and your driving habits. Accelerate and decelerate smoothly, Jay. Drive 55. Nope. Be the slowest driver out there. Keep your tires properly inflated, which you should do anyway.
Right.
Avoid excess idling. Don't let your car warm up. Let all your fluids freeze while you drive somewhere. Remove all heavy items from your vehicle. I guess I can't sit in it. Then
nobody can move again ever.
Yeah. Open your windows. Do not use the air conditioning.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
So those are some suggestions of how
Those are helpful.
Not just how your government will force you, but how you can. That'll probably be a subject now, like in high school.
Yeah.
Somebody can probably take green living or something as a course. I wouldn't be surprised if it were offered, say, in like California. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Can't you major in environmental justice?
Yeah, I would imagine that's possible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, look at your city's comprehensive plan. Look at how changes when this comes out. Changes in these goals, new requirements, eliminating grandfather clauses, changes to zoning requirements. All this stuff is going to either be adopted, have to be adopted, pushed, pressed, whatever, for your local government to comply with these things.
And why? Because there's going to be money attached to it. I mean, that's the way it always works. And so...
Yeah, they dangle the carrot in front of you. And so the governor not doing us much favors, as he never does.
Right.
he just doesn't. So the what do we call? What is this called now? The executive order to create what now? We got to give people accurate information.
Right,
what the hell's it called? We got to look it up again, Jay. By the way, you can go to the Pollution Control Agency's website and access some of the things that we're talking about here. Climate Solutions and Economic Opportunities, which is their CEOEQB. If you go to their greenhouse gas emissions in Minnesota 1990 to 2016 report, in there are stats on vehicle miles traveled. I don't know where they get that from. Must be the Department of Transportation.
Right.
About how people are still driving too many single occupancy vehicles every day.
So you're not going to get people out of their cars.
You're not. You're never going to.
No, I mean, they have, given breaks with the dummy lanes and stuff for years where you're carpooling, you can use them.
And they're empty. They're empty every single day.
People want to leave for work when they want to leave for work. They want to leave work when they want to leave work. They don't want to wait around for somebody else.
Well, and it's just not practical. I mean, it's just and plus, you know what? There are times of the day I don't want to be around anybody. Is that so wrong?
I value time in the car.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be next. I don't want to. I got to work with Bill all day. I don't want him in my car too.
No.
He stinks. I don't want him in there. He talks too much. Has too much coffee in the morning or whatever. I don't know. I got errands to run after work. I don't have to drive him home. I got to pick up my kid at whatever. I mean, this is totally impractical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but here's what I want to know too. I want to know how many of these people. I want to know if the head of the Department of Agriculture or the Department of Commerce or I want to know if they carpool to work or not.
Oh no!
I mean, they have solar panels on their homes.
Well,
I'm being serious. They got the latest and greatest environmentally friendly. They got an electric car.
A lot of
or do they got the what do you call it? Spanish Caravan, the Queen Family Truckster. I mean, what do they got? I mean, you sit there and you lecture the rest of us, and you don't practice it yourself.
Right.
So it must not be that urgent then.
Oh, it's not at all.
Governor Walz, he take light rail to where he goes, his fundraisers and stuff? No, he probably takes a private plane.
Yeah. Does he fly anywhere? I'm sure he does.
Of course he does.
I'm sure he flies across the United States, governors groups and this and that.
National Governors Associations, yeah. Any of these city council members carpool to work and back?
No.
Even Renee and Joe didn't carpool back in Crystal. They had to get away from each other for a few minutes. I mean, come on. I mean, give me a break here. I mean, this is just nonsense. And I still feel the idea that carbon dioxide which the world can't live without. It's like having too much water. It's impossible. I mean, it just makes no sense.
Right.
So just
we go around and round and round about this, and there will be more details that come out. This is, high level view. It's really nothing new, though. I mean, we've talked about it with Green Step Cities.
It's nothing new, but it's being ratcheted up here. Expect a report to come out that is dire, that is catastrophic, that every city's going to need to do this, and blah, 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 and government agencies and so on and so forth. Expect this to be the manufactured crisis that government, every time there's a crisis, somehow they win.
Right.
Somehow they get more power. Burning the rights tag. Somehow that's going to happen here. I'm not calling them Nazis, so don't give us that stuff. I'm just showing how the crisis happens, and that's when government grabs onto power and never lets it go.
Yeah, it's true. And they do never let go. They come up with new ways to try and take power, to try and take your money. And we kind of let it happen. We've let it happen for a long time. So it's time that we think about it again. Are we going to let the government push us around? Are we going to let them dictate to us what freedom is, what freedom isn't, what kind of materials or where we can build, all that kind of stuff? private property rights are important. And we need some people that are willing to stand up for that kind of thing, because it's just too easy to go do your own thing. And
well, let me make a quick point on that. Yeah. Private property rights are not just how high you can build your shed.
Right.
It's where you get your water, where you get your, those are all private property rights.
Right.
So just don't think it's limited to that.
Exactly. And the government wants to have control of all those things, and if they can tax it, they will. If they can regulate it, they will, and they will find a way. And if they can't figure it out, expect them to try everything possible. And, we're stuck with it. We're stuck with the bill. So what are you going to do differently? I mean, here we are, it's winter. Things aren't hot per se, but climate change is still happening, and we still got to, think about not idling those cars, and we got to think about doing this and that, and why don't you bike more instead of drive and whatever. But it doesn't make any sense, and the things that they request don't make any sense. And so we need to figure out how we're going to turn the tide. As long as we have people that are insistent on being the reason that none of us are in government, we've got our own lives to live. We don't want to take the time. We don't want to sacrifice. We have other things to do. Then we're going to continue to be bombarded with these problems. Instead, it's important that we decide that this is over here and now. That no matter what, we are going to take back our government, and we're going to do things the right way. That's why we're here, so we can teach you what we know and hope that it is enough for you to be able to take back your city, take back your county, take back your school board. And the only way to do that is stepping up. So where are our friends and allies that are willing to step up? Because it's not just about enjoying life and not taking responsibility for the important things. It's got to be a mixture of both. We've got to have the right policies in place to allow us to be more free. And we've got a government that is insistent upon limiting that to the best of their ability. So where are you at? We need 10, 20,000 of you. Because otherwise they're just going to keep encroaching. So we're going to shoot for 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 till we get enough people that we can hold back the tide of big government, that we can hold back the tide of socialism. Get a hold of us at COMMSolutionsMN at gmail.com. That's COMMSolutionsMN at gmail.com. Because it is when you get involved and you say that you're going to take a stand that things finally change. We can only do so much here from behind these fantastic microphones and all this fancy podcast gear we're running. No, in the end, it really comes down to you doing what you can do. We're here to help you. We're here to tell you everything we know, week to week to week to week. But it's got to be on you to actually get out and do it. That said, we love you, Minnesota. And now it's your turn to get to work.
get too caught